Hey guys, it's about beer 30. Let's take a walk into the kitchen and see what's in the fridge today.
Hello everybody, welcome to Gregsbeerreviews today. Thanks a bunch for stopping by. Look at this great big tall huge 19.2 fluid ounce can. Just got this in today from my beer brother Rico. He sent me a few session beers, which I don't buy anymore, guys, down in the 3 and 4 percenters. We're going to review them, but I don't buy them, guys. I'm only limited to a couple of beers a day. So if I'm going to spend my money on something, I want it to be at least a 7% or bigger. And these are 3 and 4% beers that he has sent me on some of these. I think I got 4 of them in there. I don't buy those beers, guys. I am going to review them, but I don't purchase those beers. They're just a little bit stronger than Kool-Aid or iced tea. I don't session beers. I'm not buying beers of that magnitude so I can drink 10, 12, 15, 18, 20 of them. To catch my buzz or whatever your intentions are from drinking beer, whether you're drinking it for the taste or you're trying to get shit-faced. I don't drink beer to get shit-faced anymore, guys. I don't have to. I mean, for the same amount of money, you can buy a 7, 8, 9 percenter for what you're going to pay for a 3 or 4 percenter a lot of the times, and you're going to get more taste, you're going to get more alcohol, and you don't have to drink 10, 12, 15, 18 of them. It is what it is. There's a lot of people who like to buy those styles of beers where they can sit by the beach or the pool or whatever and come in and have multiple quantities of them and not be too inebriated. But like I said, I don't session beers anymore. I rarely get to drink more than 2 or 3 a day. So I want those beers to count. I want to have that big taste. I want to have big hop profile, or in this case, maybe some big bourbon notes and stuff. So I just don't buy them, guys. I don't. But I do review them when they are sent to me. I'm not a fan of those beers. Usually they're very thin and very watery. But we shall see what they bring to the table. But this one should be very tasty. Cape May Brewing, bourbon barrel aged concrete ship is what this one is, and a great big 19.2%. Like I said, Rico sent it to him and he says 10.1% Imperial Stout aged in 7-year Woodford Reserve bourbon barrels. Awesome bourbon there. 80 IBUs. It said the brewery opened in 2011. The brewery is out of Cape May, New Jersey. Thus the name. Purchased in the New Jersey bottle store for around $13 a can. Big can though, 19.2 fluid ounces. Almost 2 beers in one can. And being 10%, definitely 2 beers in one can. Sold in singles. You couldn't find a date on it anywhere. I would like to see them put at least a vintage on it, guys, telling us what year it is in case they do this multiple years. They may have done it before, or they may do it again. I want to see that. So it needs to have that. It's not going to get a 10 grade for me if it's a 10 beer and it doesn't have a vintage on it somewhere. And just like IPAs or double IPAs, I've got to the point now, if you can't put the ABV or a vintage on this style or an IPA or double IPA and tell what the alcohol content is, you're not going to get the 10 from me anymore. We need to know when it was put in the can or the vintage on the can or bottle and the ABV. The IBUs aren't so critical anymore because of different hopping techniques, but you have to give me at least those 2 dates to get a 10 from this guy anymore. And if you don't give me those 2 bits of information, I don't give a damn if your beer is a 12 beer. It's not going to get a 10 from me. So, it's my opinion though, guys. You may agree, you may disagree. I don't give a rat's ass, basically. This is my option to do that. I don't want to say it's my show, but it is my show. So if you can't tell me what the vintage is on this beer style and what the ABV is you're not going to get a 10. That's the bottom line. I don't give a damn if your beer is the best thing I've ever freaking tasted. Give me that bits of information. You can do it. You choose not to, so I choose not to give you the better grade. How about that? Yeah. So step up to the plate. Don't be a dumbass. So I do appreciate Rico spending his hard-earned money on sending me these awesome beers, guys. But in my older age here, been doing this almost 10 years, you're going to give me that information if you want a 10 grade. I don't care. That's it. Bottom line. So, it says this is a 19.2% can, a little bigger than the normal 16-ounce can. Yeah, it is. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, but like I said, it's not a cheap beer to buy. It's $13, but you're basically getting 2 beers in 1 can for the ABV and being bourbon barrel aged, and some awesome Woodford Reserve bourbon barrels. So let's see what this brings to the table. Let's jump over to Untappd. They have it listed as 80 IBUs at 10.1%, and they have a fairly long description. Bear with me here. Concrete Ship is our full-bodied Russian Imperial Stout with notes of cocoa and coffee, subtle roastiness, and a silky smooth mouthfeel, befitting a beer named after a sunken World War I Navy folly. Instead of sinking our stout off Cape May Sunset Beach, we laid ours to rest in freshly dumped 7-year-old Woodford Reserve barrels. The extended aging in these gorgeous vessels amplifies the chocolatey undertones with the oak character and the barrel's influence, pulling out a rich, velvety texture to the beer, pairing beautifully with the subtle heat from the barrels. A blend of 8 different malts give Concrete Ship a layered profile that begs to be barrel aged, so we source the choicest barrels to see this maiden voyage to port. So, if they've been in business since 2011, this is 2019, that's 8 years. If you can't afford a dating machine, maybe you're in the wrong business. That's just my humble, honest opinion, guys. So, with that being said, we've gone over everything that we need to. So let's pop the top on this great big 19.2%er. They are doing a plain Jane silver can with a stick-on wraparound label, which is good, other than them producing a printed up can, which costs a little bit more money than what they're doing here, which tells me they're trying to concentrate on what they're putting in the can instead of printing up a bunch of fancy cans that's going to be thrown away or recycled. So, pitch black coming out, guys. Very dark. Good looking beer pouring. Seems to be fairly well carbonated. Maybe just a hint heavy on the carbonation. So let me back off on that pour. Ooh, little overcarbonated to me, guys. For a 10.1%er, we got 2 fingers of head on that pour. Usually you don't get that on a 10%er though. So it's a little heavy on the carbonation. So into the light, it is pretty dark. There may be a little tiny bit of red ribbiness, but not a whole lot. It is a pretty dark beer. It's pretty black coming out of the can. So, like I said, a little heavy on that head, but it was an aggressive pour, so maybe partially my fault. But usually don't get that kind of head on a barrel-aged beer that's been in the barrels that long on a 10.1%er. Usually it's completely fermented out at that time. So, very surprised I got that much head on that pour. So, maybe it's still working. Maybe they didn't let it. I don't know. I'm not the head brewer there, guys. I don't brew beers for a living. So, to the nose we go. Rich roasted malt, maybe a little bittersweet chocolate, maybe even some molasses. Not giving a heavy bourbon aroma on it. Yeah, the bourbon may be in the taste or may come out as I let it warm up to room temperature, which I always do. The bourbon is definitely not off the chain, guys. So I'm very surprised that they left it that long in a 7-year Woodford Reserve barrel, that I'm not getting more bourbon notes. But I'm not. So it is what it is. Let's dive in. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Rico. Very subtle bourbon notes on this. I was expecting a lot more bourbon notes from this beer than what I'm getting. It is a tasty beer, but with them not putting a vintage or any kind of date on it, not knowing when it was done, and then, like I said, according to him, he is telling me, well, he's not saying, 13-year-old consultant singles, no date anywhere on the can. We don't know what year it is. Could be last year's beer. Could be the year before. They've been in business since 2011. Maybe it's a 2011 edition. We don't know. That's why we need to have that on there somewhere to know how old a beer we're drinking. I don't understand why breweries think they can continue doing this and not put a vintage. Put a 2011, put a 2012, 2019, 2018. Tell us when you put it in there. And if you can't afford a dating machine to stamp that on the bottom, maybe you're in the wrong beer business. Just my humble opinion. If I had a brewery, you could bet your sweet ass that there would be a vintage on the label or a date on the bottom of the can, whether it's month in a year, month, day in a year, or just a year when it was put in the can. That would be top priority to me. To me, that's just as important as the damn brew kettle that you're purchasing to brew your beers. So, a little disappointed in not having a vintage or date, and a little disappointing on the amount of bourbon notes that I'm getting from it. So, we're going to sip on this. This is most definitely not a 10 beer in my humble opinion, guys. I'll be right back. Alright guys, I'm back. Been sipping on it probably close to an hour. Definitely up to room temperature. Been out on the deck, close to 90 degrees out there. The bourbon notes are not there, guys. For something that's been in a Woodford barrel, I'm very disappointed in what they're producing here and not having a vintage on it or a date somewhere on it. Second disappointment, this is definitely not a 10 beer, guys. I've had a lot better bourbon barrel aged beers than this. If these guys want to produce beers, they need to have a dating machine or at least put a vintage on the label. Just my opinion, though. It is a tasty beer. Alcohol seems to be very well hidden for a 10.1%er. A little bit more of those notes now that it's warmed up than it was cold out of the fridge, but still not off the chain like I'm expecting from something that's been in one of those barrels for that long. Like I said, much better beers available that are bourbon barrel aged than this one. I don't give a damn if it's in a 19.2 or a 30-ounce can. It needs to have a vintage somewhere on it. Tell me what year it was put in the can, or give me a date somewhere stamped on the bottom when it was packaged though, especially in a can. It's not that hard to have a machine to do that. There are a ton of beer breweries, craft beer breweries that do that are brewery only release. They don't even go out to the stores. So if this is going out to stores, it needs to have that on there. It does. It's got to have the ABV and at least the vintage on this style, and other styles the date, month, day, and year. So if they can't afford to do that, they're in the wrong business. Final choke. Very enjoyable. I am getting the roasted malt. I'm getting hints of molasses, maybe a little bit of bittersweet chocolate. Might be some slight hints of some dark fruit in there, but not a lot of bourbon notes. So much better bourbon beers, bourbon barrel aged beers available than this. So probably not something I would pick up for myself. And with that being said, these guys need to step up to the plate and put a vintage on their label or a date on the bottom somewhere. I'm going to give, since this alcohol is so well hidden, it was fairly easy drinking for a 10.1%. I'm going to give it an A beer, 90 from me, guys. Over to Beer Advocate, they say no scores. They've only had 2 people comment on this beer, and they gave it pretty good grades. So I guess they've gone back to having at least 5 or 10 people comment on the beer before they'll post a grade. They were doing something different not very long ago. So these people at Beer Advocate are dying. They're dying. It won't be long before somebody either buys them out or people stop posting anything on them. When I go over to Untappd, everything is there. They've got this listed, they've got the grade, they've got everything. So Untapped is basically putting Rate Beer, which I don't use anymore, and Beer Advocate out of business because they list each individual year and more information and more reviews on the beers. So it's probably going to come to the point where, and as far as I'm concerned, it already has. So if you want information, go to Untapped on the beer, and it's going to list different years if they produced it multiple times. So Untapped is the way to go. If you want to find out more information about the beer, instead of going to Rate Beer or Beer Advocate, go to Untapped, and you're going to have more comments, more posts on it, and more information for the year of the beer that you're buying or drinking. So Untapped has it at 4.03. I would agree with that. That's their A, barely into their A category, and I agree with this. If it has some kind of vintage on it, and it had more bourbon notes, which it should have, not knowing the vintage of this beer, and the bourbon notes usually don't diminish that much. To me, it should have been left in the barrels longer than what they left it. That's just my opinion, though. I'm not the head brewer there. This may be what they may have not wanted the bourbon to be overpowering everything else, and believe me, it is not. It is very, very subtle on this beer. So if I'm paying a premium price for this and it has bourbon barrel aged on the label and not getting that, they're lucky they're not even getting an A from me. Probably should give it a B+. So with that being said, it is what it is, guys. I do appreciate Rico spending his hard-earned money on it and sending it to me. Let me try it. It's not available here in this part of Virginia, but it is very lackluster as far as bourbon notes and vintage. So they need to step up to the plate if they want to be in the A+ game to me. So with that being said, if you've had this one from Cape May Brewing, their bourbon barrel aged, they're saying, not much of that note that I'm getting, their concrete ship, which is a Russian Imperial Stout bourbon barrel aged. Much better, tastier beers available than this. So, just me, just my opinion. But I'm glad I got to try it for you guys. And Rico, thanks again, my brother. I do appreciate you sending it to me. If you had it recently, let me know what you think. Until we meet again, let's go see what's in the fridge.